Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of E2E or Engineer to Engineer, the 10-minute drill. And today we're talking with Vritika Naik, who is a PM for Azure Files. And we're going to discuss some issues I've been having with my Azure file deployment. So stay tuned. Hi Vritika, how you doing?
Hi, Pierre. I'm doing good. How are you?
Could be doing better. I've been having some issues in one of our test environments where I've tried to leverage Azure Files and Azure File Sync.
What happened? What's the exact error that you're facing?
Well, one of the issues is I think I changed my key, or I was using a key. I wanted to like rotate my keys, and all of a sudden it stopped syncing, and then I was getting some errors. I wasn't quite sure, and then all of a sudden, like some servers are syncing, some servers are not syncing in my environment. So I'm a little confused as to. So could you take me through how I should be setting this up?
Let's do this. Let me start with the entire deployment process. We'll understand throughout this if you missed out any step, so we can clarify that and we'll give you a better idea on the errors you're facing as well. How does that sound?
Perfect.
So, one of the common things that people usually miss out while going for a file sync deployment are the prerequisites. There are a couple of them. You need to have a storage account with the SMB 3.1.1, NTLM, and other points enabled. Then you need to have a file share in the region where you want to deploy a file sync. Very important within that region. You also need a Windows server for the file sync. And the
Okay.
most important fact, you need to have identity access management configured. That is, you need to have a role which allows you to go ahead and deploy the entire file sync. Because
Okay.
certain activities, they need special permissions, like having the permission, the ability to actually go ahead and give role assignments to other users. That is where you need either the owner role or the file sync administrator role. This is a new built-in role that we have, which makes sure that you have enough permissions for the file sync deployment without making changes to a lot other permissions.
Okay. So if I'm just the like what's the role I'm in, contributor role in my resource group or in my environment, that's not enough anymore.
No, contributor role can take you to a certain step. You can go ahead and
Okay.
start setting up, create your storage account, create your storage sync service. But when you go to create your cloud endpoints, you're going to face your first error, and that's one of
Okay.
the most common errors people usually end up with if you don't have the permission to set role assignments for users. So, if you're clear with the prerequisites, let's get started with the deployment process. Okay, so we have this whole Azure File Sync deployment guide, which you'll find online. Keep it handy, very useful. We go to the portal, we try and create a new file share. Write whatever name that you need for the file share. Always good to have a naming convention. You can either set a backup because we are testing it. I'm not going to set it, and then I'll just review and create.
Okay.
I'm creating this in the storage account in a region where I want to deploy my file sync. At the same time, while it's getting created, we go to our Windows server. For to make sure everything is perfect, I'm just going to go ahead and set Internet Explorer Enhanced Security Configuration to off. I will now go ahead and install File Sync Agent. You can find the link. You can just search File Sync Agent or go to our deployment guide and find the latest one. Always make
Okay.
sure you have the latest version and you are selecting the right Windows Server choice here. Mine was the Windows Server 2019, so that's what I selected. So once you have it installed, once you have it downloaded on your system, you just go ahead, run the setup. Yeah, you have your end user license agreement, features that you want. Because we are testing it again, I'm just going to run through it, select next, and then install it.
Yeah.
So while it gets installed, let's go ahead and set up a file sync service here. Select the subscription that you want, the resource group. and then we give it a name. I would recommend you to have a particular resource group specifically to set up this whole storage sync service here. And make sure you're selecting the right region. Region is very important here.
So the same region as what we have our file shares, the storage account, everything in the same region.
Yep. And you can go ahead and check if that region is supported beforehand. That will make sure that you don't have to go ahead and create another storage account later.
Okay.
Now we have our agent installed on the system. So we are going to go quickly and set up our server, like register it for the file sync deployment.
What about hardening this or securing this? Is there some network firewall or rules that I need to apply?
So, when it comes to networking, one very important thing that I might have missed out earlier, you need to go to your storage account and make sure that the access keys are enabled. Very important fact here.
Okay.
Second thing, it's not related to networking, but where you will actually find an issue later. I've already mentioned it. Make sure the user who's setting this up has the permission to go ahead and give role assignments to other users. Basically, they can have an Azure File Sync administrator role. It's a role that we've created to ensure that you have the least permissions that are required to set up the entire storage sync service. Or
Okay.
if this person is has an owner role already, that's good enough. So yeah, I'm using one of my accounts here. I go ahead in access control I am, and I'm checking what permissions I have. I already have the Azure File Sync administrator role, which
Okay.
makes sure that I have enough permissions. So let's set up a storage sync service. We had already created one. I'm going to go and create a sync group. I'll give a name. So sync group basically is a group in your storage sync service where your endpoints, both the cloud and server endpoints, will be created. Ideally, your cloud endpoint should be automatically created if everything is right. So that's where we select the storage account. We select the file share we've selected. Let's see what happens. Ouch. We've got this error. Role assignment creation failed.
Okay.
So, why would this happen? This is something I mentioned earlier. Role assignments can fail at any point in time. Your first action should be going and checking what access I have. I don't have the role, which is stranger. I see a contributor role. Oops, I realized that my account got changed. Another thing, if you have multiple accounts, this can happen. Sometimes, while logging in, the page refreshes and your account, you get into another account. So this
Yeah.
account doesn't have the required permissions, due to which it's failed here. So I'm going to go and quickly change it. All right, I'm into my right account. Checking it again. I have a sync group created. It was just the cloud endpoint which failed. And it's okay if you have a group created and your endpoint has failed here. Okay. So while that gets created, let me quickly try to log in. Remember, the account which had the required permissions was
Hmm.
account that I'm going to use here. Again, make sure you have the right account here.
Yeah.
So once you log in, you do all the pre-checks. You can select the subscription, resource group, and storage sync service. There are certain times when your subscription might not be seen. You can check, like if you have multiple subscriptions, this can come up as an issue. You can use PowerShell to go ahead and try the same steps. There are multiple commands out there on the website, on the document that we have, and you can use it. But in most cases, you will see your subscription, resource group, and storage sync service here. There's also one point which is very important. If you're using a server, maybe an old server for testing, which has maybe an older version of the agent installed, there is a possibility you might face issues here. So, always a good practice, install the latest version that is suited for your Windows server. That would make sure you're avoiding any of these errors here.
So while this is registering, you mentioned keeping the agent to the latest version. If the agent is installed and there's an update to the engine, does the agent self update?
Yep. So when you go ahead and install the agent, you have this option in the first step itself, whether you want to go ahead and auto upgrade the agent, and what's the frequency you want it to get upgraded on.
Okay.
Basically, there's one thing that would happen here. Um, on that frequency, whatever it is, it's going to try to upgrade the agent. If your system, your server is down, then on that schedule it won't be able to upgrade the agent. The moment your system starts after that schedule, it's going to make sure it tries to upgrade the agent. Having the agent upgraded to the latest version ensures that you have all the security patches. If there are any bugs or anything, they make sure that you are up to date. So always a good practice to set up auto upgrade. But if you feel that maybe your system is not made for that, go ahead, check it. But yes, when it's much necessary, it will go and auto upgrade the agent. So you see our cloud endpoint creation is in progress here. You will be able to see each step by step. And if everything is right, your cloud endpoint will be provisioned. Once that is provisioned, since a server is already registered, you will have an
Yep.
option to select the registered server. It's a drop down. If it's not registered properly, you will not see it here. Select the path where you want this file sync to take place. You also have an option for cloud tiering. Now, cloud tiering is basically a process where the data that is required or more often accessed, it's going to be visible to you. You can directly access it, and something which is not recently accessed, it's going to be stored, but it might take a little time for because it's not using that much space on the disk to make sure your performance is good. So you
Okay.
can, if you don't want this, you can disable cloud tiering. In that way, all the data, it will have like a full copy on your server and your file share. In our
Okay.
case, let's try to enable cloud tiering and see what all options we get. As soon as you enable it, you will have this option, volume free space policy. It allows you to see how much percentage of free space you want at any point in time. You can also select the initial sync option, whether you want to merge the content of the server path and the file share, or you can use choose to overwrite the content. Whatever is more suitable to you, go through this is the time you go ahead and make some changes. It has a process, it will take 24 hours for the sync to complete. In case in between you want to make sure syncing is happening, you are going to go and use a change detection PowerShell command. It's going to just run a change detection at any point in time. Otherwise, it will take 24 hours for the sync process to happen.
Okay. So that change detection, that's like a PowerShell command, and
Yes.
I have to run this manually to ensure that changes have been detecting and uploaded. So what situation would I use this in like real life?
So I would say ideally, you have that 24-hour cycle when it just syncs. But in case, let's say you need to do something immediately, maybe a disaster recovery or something, and you want to make sure right now, before you're testing a failover, you have every all the changes set. So in that case, you can run a change detection, and it will make the changes immediately.
Okay. All right.
Also, one important thing, since we are speaking about disaster recovery, file sync is not a backup option. Always a good practice to have your files, your storage account backed up at regular intervals. Very important, I would say.
So all right. So the tiering, the cloud tiering kind of addresses my quota and capacity issues that I've got locally. Because I have more data, I'm going to be putting more data in there that I've got actual disk space. So that cloud tiering is going to address that. Um, what other security best practice should I be looking at?
One important thing you can try out definitely is, right now I spoke about, having a user go ahead and make all these changes, right? You can also have managed identities set up for your file sync, which would be a great thing. um, if you are having users set this up, then make sure they're having the right role, and agent needs to be updated always. The best practice. um, your outbound ports, URLs, whatever's required, make sure the required ones are allowed. And yeah, I think that's the main thing. I would say set up your required logging and monitoring. Make sure you're monitoring the data. Another important thing, not exactly for security, but since we were speaking about quota, which I forgot earlier, you might face some quota issues at times. If you have cloud tiering set up, please go ahead and check your volume free space policy. You might have set up a wrong percentage. The recall policy might have some issues there. So go make sure that is right. You might also require to increase the size of your disk. Sometimes our data needs keep changing, and we might need to have another disk, or enlarge the size. So that's how you would go and troubleshoot it
Okay.
usually.
Okay. Well, Vijika, thank you so much. I think I've got a lot of information. I'm going to take that. I'm going to go check my own deployment, make sure my agents are updated, and check that I'm in the same region, because that might be something. And hopefully, I can get all my deployment and my demo environment ready.
So, Pierre, there's two more things actually that I would recommend you to do. When you're creating the storage account, make sure, you can have different business needs, and we have provision V2 storage account, which lets you provision the IOPS throughput based on your requirements. And if you know all of this in advance, it's also going to make sure you have a better idea on the pricing, right? So go ahead and try to explore that since you're setting up a new deployment. I think that would be a great place to start with. Also, you might come across a lot of errors when you're troubleshooting it. We have a documentation, go through it. Also, you can try and use the Azure File Sync Copilot, and that can also help you troubleshoot a couple of errors here and there.
Oh, actually, that's perfect. So thank you so much for spending the time with me and like walking me through this setup, giving me all these resources as to where I might have gone wrong. Because yeah, that I might have done a couple things in the wrong order. So thank you so much for taking the time to walk us through and giving us all these resources.
You're most welcome, Pierre. And anytime you face any issue, you can just directly call me up. We can sit together and troubleshoot this.
Perfect. And for you watching this, if you've got any problems and you've got any questions you'd want us to answer, please put them in the comments below, and we'll make sure to get them answered. All right, and with that, thank you so much, Ritika, and thank you at home, and like and subscribes and all that stuff, and we'll see you later. Cheers.
Bye.